So please give it up for Maick Doosjen.
Round of applause. Quick test. Yes, everybody can hear me? Excellent. Thank you all for joining me today. Thank you for the wonderful introduction as well, Bart. As stated, my name is Maick Doosjen, and today it is my pleasure to share with you some of the impact that we were able to achieve in collaboration with the ThinkWise platform at one of the Netherlands' leading distributors of frozen food products. Every now and then, I apologize, you will see me staring at my notes a little bit, so please bear with me for that. But in the next 20 minutes, in our session called Eat or Be Eaten, I will be touching on the topics war on talent, sustainability within IT, and a scalable and flexible organization towards the future. And by the end of this presentation, you will know what you need to maintain your competitive edge in a constantly changing world. Once finished, there will be, of course, some room for questions. But should there not be enough time, you can find me at our booth where I will happily continue the conversation with you there. So I know you guys had a great lunch. Hope you're still a little bit hungry. Let's dig in. Starting off with fizor. Fizor was founded by the Forza IT Group, which is a group that invests in scalable technology for different purposes for their clients. They have many years of working with ERP systems and implementing ERP upgrade solutions. And my managing director, Joost Engel, worked at Forza for many years, but was always interested in new technologies and possibilities. After having gone through numerous implementation projects and upgrade projects, he often found himself questioning why customers choose to go for a standard solution which is never able to fully meet the business requirements that they're looking at. And choosing for custom software in combination with standard software opens you up to a variety of challenges. So always on the lookout for new possibilities, he came across low-code, and after having done his due diligence, fizor was born. Starting off with just two people, Joost and Richard, the founding fathers. Today's team at fizor consists of about 35 people over a variety of different disciplines. So we have project managers, we have business architects, business analysts, we have solution architects, and we have developers, as well as dedicated sales and marketing team. And what we do is we design, develop, implement, and support business applications for our customers. And one of our core focuses is also replacing legacy software. And it was for this very reason that we partnered up with ThinkWise, because of its outstanding capabilities in achieving this goal by combining standard technology for creating custom solutions. Now, we do this for a variety of clients. We have clients in wholesale, in distribution, in manufacturing. We also have clients in real estate, but by no means are we limited to just these types of clients. And over the last 3 years, having worked with low-code, we were able to complete numerous projects, ranging from vendor portals or client portals, to digital remittance scanning, to complete legacy overhauls, which is also what I'll be talking about today with the example of our customer, Heveck. Heveck is, as I said, a leading company in distribution of frozen food products. They have a warehouse, which is basically one giant freezer, where they host about 1,400 stock articles, and they have a fleet of about 16 refrigerator trucks that make runs on a daily basis. Now, they supply to over 600 supermarkets across the country, making runs twice a day, and their main processes are warehousing, logistics, and distribution, which were also the focus of the project that we completed at Heveck. For a bit of context as to the size of the application, they run about 25,000 order lines a day. So this provides some context to the size and volume of the application, as well as the performance needs that come with it. Over the last 40 years, Heveck has undergone significant growth year on year. But challenges started to arise when their core system, which was built on COBOL, was not able to facilitate this growth and scale accordingly. And when we came into contact with Heveck, we were not the only ones sitting there at the table, of course. They had been in contact with SAP and with Microsoft, as they were looking for a more modern solution for their ERP system, which would suit the business needs that they had in mind, as well as be more attractive for people or new talent to work with. Now, the challenge that Heveck was facing, however, during these conversations, was that none of these solutions that were being offered were able to fully meet the business requirements. And this is a conclusion by Erik Landwaard, the managing director of Heveck, made it possible for us to have a seat at the table and join in on the conversation. Because there were certain specifics in their processes, mainly in their warehousing and procurement and forecasting, which made it impossible to facilitate with standard solutions. Of course, they could deviate by going for custom software at the same time, which was, of course, a proposition that had been made by both SAP and by Microsoft. But this would have opened them up to a host of to a range of new challenges in terms of feasibility, budget, and maintenance, because these timelines would get significantly more stretched out, budgets would get swallowed by the different customizations that they would need to be made, and they would have no guarantee that their solution was going to be scalable towards the future. So with the approach of fizor, we were able to offer them a single solution. So instead of opting for 3 different solutions, we were able to offer them one platform to meet all the business needs that they had in mind. Now, they had a couple of different challenges, which we'll be talking about right now. Starting off with the war on talent, which is a challenge that most of you are probably very familiar with nowadays. Head articles are coming up every day. And I've had many years of experience in recruitment, so I know how big the problem is. But there are multitudes of reasons for people nowadays to switch their jobs. And this can consist because of they're not finding any new challenge in their workplace, they're not feeling appreciated enough or losing connection with their coworkers, or work pressure is simply building up due to low resources, which is very understandable and very frustrating. And I myself, as I stated, have worked in recruitment for multitudes of years, and I found another reason that people leave companies. And I also experienced it myself, because my main focus during this time in recruitment was logistic companies and manufacturing. And having done multiple projects on the floor at PostNL, for instance, where I was managing different processes that they had, I often found myself very frustrated by processes that had to be done by paper and pen. So manual tasks, which I had to perform, which I afterwards would have to update in Excel, which afterwards would have to get updated into an outdated legacy system. And I was not alone in this frustration, having met and talked to many people that leave companies for this very reason. Now, especially for young people nowadays who are just joining the workforce and being confronted with these outdated systems is very frustrating. Because let's be honest, every young people nowadays is used to working with an iPhone or with at least a very modern phone which has applications that feel very intuitive and that you know exactly how to use right away. And I have been often flustered by my little cousin who is 4 years old, who runs through applications at a speed that I cannot even compare myself with. So if you're starting to work now and you have to work with a legacy system which is outdated and not up to par to the modern standards of this day and age, it can be very unattractive for younger people to work with. And finding the people that have the right expertise or experience working with legacy systems is also quite a challenge, because most of them would have already reached their retirement age, which was also the challenge that Heveck was facing. And what you see, okay, I'm glad you're laughing already, because what you see here in the background was their outdated legacy system built on COBOL. This has been the backbone of their company for over 30 years. And during this time, they developed the system, they added new features and functionalities. So you can imagine that they've seen quite a lot of developers come and go throughout the years. Be honest, would you want to work with something like this? So though it served them well, challenges started to arise because they were unable to integrate with new modern technologies and add new features, as well as finding the right people. So there was no access to development capacity, there was no functional scalability, and the system wasn't ready to accommodate the growth that they were looking for in the current market. And getting new people up to speed working with these systems was also very hard, because it took a very long time, and before people were up and running and familiar with the entire system, there was a very high risk of them already leaving the company, which you can understand is a very frustrating challenge to be facing. So the only way out was to start hiring people that were already in their retirement. And you can imagine that this is quite a costly endeavor because these people knew exactly what they were worth in the current market. This allowed them to ask for high hourly rates, which, Heveck had no other choice than to comply with. And the onboarding process for new employees also became a lot longer because processes were captured in the knowledge of people, and they were not automated within the system. And to get someone up to speed in these systems would require months, as I said, with the risk of people leaving the company before they could be of any added value. So by working with fizor, in collaboration with Thinkwise, we were able to upgrade their core systems and processes, offering them a more modern user interface and user experience. Processes had been optimized and streamlined according to today's standards as well. Now, by doing this, we also created a better work environment for people to work at, lessening manual and repetitive tasks, and cutting down on unnecessary actions that had to be done during manual tasks. And now their employees, where before they were walking around with a pen and paper, as I had been doing at PostNL, now they have a barcode scanner and the system works for them, and they hardly have any manual input left. And not only has this accelerated productivity, it also made the work more enjoyable because there were less manual tasks to do. The onboarding time had been substantially shortened, and as well as the efflux of people leaving the company had been, they were able to maintain that a little bit more. Now, sustainability is a very hot topic around the world, pun intended. More and more companies are starting to invest in green energy solutions, adding solar panels to their rooftops, installing heat pumps so they can turn off the gas, and adopting electric vehicles. And these are all great initiatives, of course, because these are saving the environment. And to be honest, who doesn't want that? But sustainability is a very, very broad topic. And an area where sustainability is often overlooked is the IT department. Legacy systems are exactly as it states. They are legacy. They are outdated. They require constant maintenance and upkeep. They adhere to a very strict incremental release policy. And they are quite often, these projects are very cost heavy on time and on resources. And one of the worst things of all is that you will never be up to date. Because by the time that you have started a new project, you have implemented all the necessary upgrades that you need, you're already going to be a couple of steps behind because new technology will have already caught up with you and surpassed your current systems. So it is for this very reason that it is important to look into a more modern application or platform. And making use of standard software in combination with custom software opens you up to another range of challenges and difficulties. Because at one point, you're going to have to update one of your systems at least. And this might have very dire consequences for the other systems. Which means that a lot of companies nowadays are postponing their update projects out of fear of losing functionalities and features. And this gives your competition quite a competitive edge when their systems are already up to date, of course. Now, working with a low-code platform like Thinkwise, and I apologize because this morning we learned that they are no longer a low-code platform, but a sustainable platform. You will be able to build your application on a platform that is up to standard and will never age. The underlying architecture is constantly being updated, and new features and functionalities are being added all the time. And the best thing of all is that these updates are happening behind the scenes, so they will never interfere with your application or with your core system. So these new features are ready to be implemented once you choose to do so, once the needs of the market change and you need to adapt to those changes. And the last key point of interest also touches a little bit on the war of subject, because working with a more modern platform, the ease of use enables people that have either very limited knowledge of coding to be able to build their own solutions. And people that have more significant, have a little bit more experience working with coding will, of course, be able to achieve much more in a lot less time. So by implementing the Thinkwise platform, you're basically buying the last solution that you'll ever need. Now it comes to no one's surprise, and I already touched upon this a little bit, but the needs of the market change on a regular basis. The needs of your customers, the needs of your employees, the needs of suppliers, they change constantly. And for example, in logistics, a lot of customers nowadays expect that when they place a delivery, that their products get delivered on the same time. And those companies that are able to facilitate this have quite a competitive edge in comparison to the ones that cannot. Because at one point, they're all going to go towards them, of course. And as a company, you want to be able to adapt to these changes very fast, so that you can maintain your operational excellence and, of course, provide the best service towards your customers as well. And legacy systems will just never allow for these quick changes. IT solutions are supposed to be made work for you, boost your operations, and allow your business to grow. And the need to add new features or change according to the needs of the market should be able to, the need to add new features or change your processes to be able to keep up with the changing needs of the market. Ask for a solution that is able to grow with you and work for you and adapt to whatever may come your way. So as your business grows and you gain more employees, you gain more customers, you want to be able to facilitate whatever it is that they need so that you can keep your competitive edge in the constantly changing market. And standard solution or legacy software will never be able to fully accommodate this growth or flexibility. Local platforms, however, offer you the full flexibility and scalability that you need to maintain your competitive edge in the changing market. Now, looking at the project that we accomplished at Heveck, we started off with a proof of value, which means that there was a buy-in across the board. But we still had a lot of ground to cover because the solution that we were offering was not well known, at least within the company, within the holding that Heveck is part of, or within the industry at all. So we had to show them that the claims that we were making were actually feasible. And we claimed that we could do a proof of value within 4 weeks, automating their order pick process according to their specifications and requirements. And this is quite a bold statement to make, as you can imagine. So we had to deliver, and thank God we did. So we put the proof of value down in exactly 4 weeks, at which time Heveck could start on testing, running through the application and through the ThinkWise platform, which means that from actual goods received to storing in the warehouse to actual order picking, everything was delivered within a 4-week time frame as well as validated. Now, it took them a couple of weeks to play around with the system and get familiarized with it, and of course we were there, we were present, guiding them throughout the entire system, making sure that every question that they had was answered. And this was all received with great enthusiasm. And not much time after the proof of value, we got the written assignment to implement the entire company. Now, by taking a modular approach, we took every single process that they had, and we made a promise that within a time span of 4 to 6 weeks, we would be able to deliver every module. Some of these modules would have been done simultaneously, while some of them would be done more in a sequence of events. And the speed of development was, of course, enabled by the platform, by the technology of ThinkWise themselves, because their technology allows for these delivery times for core applications. The result was, of course, a fully modern user interface, completely different than from what Heveck was used to. It's much more intuitive, it has way more relevant and detailed information on screen, and there are a lot less keyboard interactions involved. Everything is done by mouse and by clicking, which is something that you should at least expect in this day and age. We were able to completely replace their legacy system within a time frame of just 10 months, where we automated all core processes, migrating them to a modern and future-proof system and mitigating all the risks that come when you're running older technology or older software. And they now have a future-proof ERP system, which is always going to be up to date. Their business is now fully enabled to execute or realize the business growth that they're looking for. And as you can see, their warehouse has doubled. They're in the process of doubling their fleet as well. And at the same time, they're onboarding new customers all the time. And their back-end technology is now fully enabled to accommodate this type of growth. And recapping a little bit on all the subjects that we touched on before, their onboarding time has now, for new employees, has been substantially shortened from a couple of months to just 2 weeks' time. And they're able to fully do all the work that they need to do. Development capacity is also more readily available because they chose to do this with a service partner that is able to accommodate them in whatever they need. So at the point that they need resources, they can give us a call, and in collaboration with ThinkWise, we are able to accommodate this. They now have a fully flexible and scalable backend technology enabled by the technology of ThinkWise, which will never be out of date, and it now offers them the flexibility to adapt to any changes in the market. So, by choosing for the ThinkWise platform, Heveck essentially bought the last solution that they will ever need. I would like to thank you for your time. Are there any questions? Okay. You're going to do it? You're going to throw it? All right.
There we go. You can speak into a white cross. Keep it close to your mouth. Then we can hear you all.
Yeah, I was wondering what the specific requirements were that they didn't choose for a standard solution. You mentioned there were some specific business requirements.
There's specifications within the project. I will. My managing director, Joost Engel, is here, somewhere in the crowd. He sure is. Where is he? Ah, there.
Yeah. So the specifics in terms of what they were asking more lies in the way that they work, not necessarily what they do. So they have specific rearrangements in their processes. Let's say warehousing. That they wanted to continue, that they want to adapt to the way that a SAP or Microsoft said they had to work, because they have their own way of working. So to make that more tangible, one of the things that they do is they're quite flexible in terms of their logistics. So if a customer were to submit an order at 5 p.m., they need the flexibility to still push that through and have that to the client the same day. And those were demands that asked a certain flexibility from their ERP system.
Okay. And one more, since I started. You talk about 10 months, which is a very nice achievement. What was the size of the total project in team members?
In team, as in time and resources, you mean, or?
Yeah. How many developers in total, or project managers?
Yeah, want me to take that?
Yes, please.
So looking at the project, what we started off with is the analysis. So we took a look at their global system. What does it do today? What do you need to do towards the future? What are the quick wins that we can incorporate within the project? So essentially, there's a business analyst, 2 of them, full-time engaged in the start of the project. Later on, you'll see a more fade out and just have a single business analyst on a weekly basis, a project manager, 2 developers, and a software tester. So we work in sprints like everybody else here does, in development sprints, and every 2 weeks we would have touch points with Heveck and deliver the application in that way.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. I saw another hand at one point. Oh God. Am I going to make that? Nope. Almost. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so the question of, I think total implementation of 10 months, and every 4 to 6 weeks you had a new module, and I think the modules kind of speak for themselves if you have them listed. So I was wondering, can you give some kind of price range for the total project of this 10 months implementation?
A pricing range?
Yeah.
That's okay.
I'm going to start my booth and I'll have to discuss your particular project.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you hear his answer?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right, awesome. Okay, let's see this. Check. Anybody else that has any questions?
Yeah, on the
Where? Sorry?
in the middle. Yeah.
That was a better shot.
So the question I have, it was written in COBOL.
Yeah.
Did you do, well, I heard some quick wins, but otherwise it was a one-to-one conversion from a functionality perspective?
Looking back over there.
Yeah, that's correct. So we did a one-on-one conversion to mitigate time risks. If we were to incorporate all the optimizations that we're doing currently, which we position as phase 2, phase 3, their timelines are going to stretch. So together with the client Heveck, we discussed the options. There were 3 must-haves for them that they had to have as of day 1. So those are the ones that we incorporated. And the rest is optimization phase 2. And we're now going to phase 3.
Okay, and then one follow-up question to that is that it was probably written in a language that most of the people that are doing the development and ThinkWise are not completely familiar with. How did you tackle that issue?
Yeah, so COBOL is not a technology that we are very familiar with. So how do we tackle that? As was mentioned, our project team consisted of a number of business analysts. So what they did is they took a look at the application and the functionality as it was developed in COBOL. Together with interviews with process owners, and that combined with our own domain knowledge of these processes, warehousing and logistics, those three combined led to a design for the application and a data model in ThinkWise.
All right, clear. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you. Anybody else?
All right, then
Thank
I'll take back the word, and I really thank you for your presentation. We're really privileged to have you here and that you took the time to discuss this case. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And give him a great round of applause, please.
Thank you.